Hello and welcome. I'm Fiona from Spirit Child Journey and wearethelightworkers.com.au, here to help you integrate your spiritual awakening into everyday life. In this video, we're going to be talking about the new moon, and in particular, the new moon that's occurring on May the 15th, 2018, which is when the new moon is moving into Taurus. Now, there's a lot of energy going on in the world at the moment, a lot of things coming up for people. I'm having some fascinating conversations with clients at the moment, and even what I'm going through personally. So I thought it was really important to share this video just to give you an insight into what potentially could be influencing some of the challenges and situations that are happening in your life right now. Now, when it comes to moon energy and astrology and planetary alignments, some people are still very, very skeptical that they have any influence at all. And other people rule and live their entire life based on the planetary alignments. They won't make decisions when certain planets are in certain locations and live their life that way. Now, for me, I'm kind of halfway in between. I really am getting into and loving everything that I'm learning about the moon energy. It's something that I've always been super sensitive to. And what I love the most is when I am going through something, or when I notice a common theme of my clients all going through similar challenges. And then we look to the charts and we look to the skies and we realize that there are some things influencing that on an energetic level. And I love it. It's almost like a reassurance that we're not actually that crazy. You know, it's a reassurance that perhaps there is something that's impacting us. Whether you call it spiritual or whether you call it science, there's something else going on that's having an impact on our body that can help us make peace with some of the challenges that we're going through. And maybe just give us a bit of a space to breathe and recognize that this too shall pass. So with the new moon, now, we've already talked about the full moon in the last video, so I hope you've had an opportunity to understand the power of the full moon. Now, the new moon is all about rebirth. It's all about new beginnings. It is the moment or the night when the moon is between the earth and the sun. So the earth, then the moon, then the sun. So it's completely dark and we have no moonlight at all. So tonight, which is a couple of nights before, there's a tiny little crescent left, just a sliver of the moon. And then on the 15th, the night of the new moon, it's pretty well complete darkness. And it's the beginning of the new lunar cycle, the first stages. So what's going on is that there's a lot of stillness energy with the new moon, where the full moon was very energetic and causing lifting of the tides and raising of those king tides that are coming in and the tides of emotions that we've got. The new moon, with the distance and the way that it's situated, it actually is a lot lower in energy. There's a lot less intensity on our bodies, on our emotions, and it's a time of going within. So there's a lot of energy around the new moon, which is about our internal journey rather than the external experience and connecting and conflict with others, which makes it a really wonderful time for that reflection. So for those of you who watched the full moon video, you remember that we talked about the time between the full moon and the new moon is about clearing out. If you're listening to the old Farmer's Almanac, that's the time for weeding and pruning and cutting off dead wood and getting rid of, ending things, getting rid of a lot of that excess energy, ploughing the ground to make room for the new. Because when it's new moon time, and between now or the new moon and the next stages of the cycle, it's the perfect time for planting our surface crops. You can hear Daisy, even she's gone a little bit crazy with the new moon. So it's a time of planting. It's a time of actually sowing the seeds that we are going to reap later. So it's a really important stage in the cycle. Now, it's also a time about rebirth. So when we think about the new moon, it's this real there's a lot of ending up to it, and then a stillness, and then a birthing. So there's an energy that's coming out of the new moon is going to be a lot more fertile. It's when they say the ground is the most fertile, is when the new moon energy is around. And it's so for us as humans, it means it's when we are most able to plant seeds within our own psyche, to really take the time to clarify our intention. You think about it back in the dark old ages, before they had electricity in homes, there was less light around the time of the new moon. So there would have been a lot more contemplative activity, a lot more inside stillness and darkness, rather than intensive energy, which would have been allowed or possible with the light of the moon. So a lot of time for reflection. Now, what is really wonderful to do in a new moon cycle is to set intentions. So really use it to set intentions. Now let's talk about this new moon in particular. So we're talking about moving into Taurus. So for those of you playing at home, Taurus is the energy of the bull. And usually, typically, when we move into a Taurus energy, there's a slow and steady change. There's like a very strong earth grounded progression into that Taurus energy. This new moon is very different because there's another thing at play, or there's a lot at play at the moment, but one of the major factors at play is Uranus is moving into Taurus as well. So the new moon in Taurus is representing change. There is a lot of energy of change right now. You'll notice the temptation, especially since the full moon and up until now, there's been temptation to change circumstances in your life. It's this realization that we're in circumstances that don't serve, they don't fit, they don't seem to be correct anymore. There's lots of stuff coming up that's causing us to question the current circumstances and environments, whether that's your relationships, your jobs, where you live, how you live. A lot of the difference between the inner self and the surface self is starting to come up. And that's because of the energies of Uranus, which is the planet of rebellion. It's the planet of economic and technology change. And it's moving from Aries into Uranus. Now, Aries is the energy of the ego. So when Uranus was in Aries, which it has been for 84 years. Now, this is a really important thing. Many astrologers and people actually haven't experienced and lived through this before. So for 84 years, it's been 84 years since Uranus has made this particular transition. So it has been in Aries, which is ego. And when we look at our world, it's a very ego-driven world. Look at what's happened in the last 84 years. All of the ego, all of the disconnection, all of the surface distractions that's been happening. Look at the technology revolution as well. So there's been so much going on in an ego or from an ego point of view. Now it's moving into an energy of groundedness. So it's much more deep. It's a much more deep energy rather than just being happy and content to just be distractive and destructive. It's moving into Uranus. Now, this is a time of major upheaval. The last time this happened, there was a lot going on. There were world wars going on, economic collapse, economic revolution. It caused so many changes that were going on at the same time in our world. And it's all happening again. There are many people that are predicting this year. So what's happening is it's moving in. It actually moves in this week at the same time as the new moon. So this is why we're being affected not just by moon energy, but by this Uranus energy as well, and a few other planets combining. I'm going to link some more advanced videos so you can go a bit deeper if you want to. But all you need to realize is that what's going on is this real intensity. Now, I've been saying to clients and a lot of people this year, there is something about the energy that's not letting us sit on the fence anymore. There's a real feeling of we're going to get either we're going to step off the fence into our direction, or we're going to get shoved off the fence. So wherever in our life we've been skating through, we've been relying on distractions to keep us sane, or just it's fine kind of areas of our life, those are going to get shaken up in the strongest way. So what Uranus is going to do is it's actually going to bring up a lot of that manifestation energy, and this transition in particular. It means that whatever you are focusing on is going to come to ground. It's going to come into reality. So if you're not yet consciously aware, if you're not consciously responsible of your thoughts, of your focus, of your intentions that you're putting out there, you're going to get it. And that's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people that aren't really paying attention and not necessarily as aware or as awake. And there's a lot of things that are going to go wrong. They're going to fall apart so that it causes a great awakening. So there's a lot of, historically, this has been a time of great awakenings, of real transition, of change, be it economic, financial, technology, as we said before. So the intensity of the manifestation. So there's a lot around the senses that are going on as well, the 5 senses. And that's a combination of the Taurus and Uranus energy, is this real experience energy. It's really wanting us to experience and really taste and touch and smell and see, and causing us to stop and smell the roses. And it's causing us to want to live in our world again rather than just on it and rushing around on the surface of it. So all of this is going on, which is really going to impact on what we manifest. So if you are consciously creating, deliberately creating, and very mindful of your intentions, perhaps you're using vision boards, perhaps you just got a lot of great meditation and focus rituals, then be prepared for really incredibly miraculous manifestations that are coming through from now and for, I think it's around the next 7 years of intensity. There's a lot of this real beautiful energy. But this week in particular is a very powerful manifesting week as well. So how does all this fit together? So first of all, just really accept that whatever the energy is coming up, if you are questioning everything, ideally, it would be best if you maybe don't make major decisions that you can't come back from this week if you're not consciously aware of what you're doing. But for many people, that's just going to happen. I know a lot of people that have been given ultimatums or have got, stuff coming up and going on, which is that transition and really trying to find out, well, where do I want to position myself for the next 7, 10, 84 years? It's am I happy in this job, in this location, in this relationship, or do I want to just go, do you know what? I am sick of being all things to other people. It's time to be all things to me. So it's that questioning energy of, do I continue to live in integrity with others but out of alignment with self? And if so, what are the consequences of that? Or do I use this shake up when everything just is falling apart to go, do you know what? It is time to really deliberately focus on me and my intention and what I am bringing to the world, and actually take responsibility for the good and bad of what you bring to the world. So just accept that is going on energetically. So if you are in relationships, jobs, locations, and a lot of that, what am I doing here? Energy is coming up. Just breathe, take your time, don't say anything suddenly. Really be very mindful of your thinking and of your language at this time. And take the time, especially tomorrow night or the night of the 15th with that new moon energy, take a moment to reflect, to stop. Do a new moon ritual, which is, perhaps it's lighting a candle, perhaps it's planting some seeds, perhaps it's really just stopping and writing out your intentions. Maybe it's time to redo a vision board and get really clear on what it is and take some time to focus on what it is that you do want to manifest. So, many people are clear on what they don't want, but haven't taken the time to clarify what they do want. So use this week as your opportunity to do that, and then begin to be consciously observing what manifests into your pathway. So I trust this has been a little bit awakening, enlightening, and hopefully not scary. And really, if it's intriguing to you and you want to know more, check out the videos in my description below. There's a lot of amazing astrologers that I've referred to and I'm learning from as I go. So some really great insights that they have as well. Let me know any questions. Let us know what you're manifesting and what your focus is. And until we speak again, take care of you, take care of others, and take care of the greater good. Bye for now.